Hello, everyone. Welcome to Off the Charts, episode 275. My name is Dan, and I shall be your host once again. So, cheers. All right. There we go. Before we start off, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends, hit a little thumbs up, and little bell to be notified when I publish new content like this. So today, Mike, it's been a while since I've done a revisiting forgotten bands, so I'll do one of those. And boy, oh boy, do I regret. Man, there's a reason why these bands are called forgotten bands because even the internet seems to have forgotten them, or there's very little documentation on these bands, and it's like, oh my god. So today I'll be talking about the hard rock slash metal band Heaven. Who is Heaven? Well, they are from Australia. They're formed in Sydney, and there's my cat because I'm not taking care of her right now. Anyway, yeah, they were formed in Sydney, Australia in 1980. They were known as Fat Lip back then. They would later on become Heaven. They've only done 3 albums, so I'll show you. I have all 3 albums. They're actually quite good. I would say it starts off sounding like AC/DC to commercial metal. So that's how I would compare them there. But I first heard of Heaven on. This is when I was looking for some Ronnie James Dio like bands he had done like vocals for, and Heaven was one of them. More on that later, but that's the first time I heard of Heaven. And the first product I've had of Heaven was this compilation here called Metal Mania. Back then, I did not have like I probably Ozzy, Judas Priest, Saxon, Blue Oyster Cult, Heaven. Yeah, most of these I've bought them, the collections, but some of these I still don't have, like Molly Hatchet, Flirting with Disaster. What a great song that is. But anyway, this is not. But anyway, this song here has Heaven's In the Beginning. So when I first started collecting vinyl, I was just collecting anything like these compilations. I don't really buy compilations anymore unless there's really something that's missing. But at the time, I didn't have any of these songs on vinyl. Now, 5, 6 years later, it's quite a different story. But yeah, the song which is on their first album, more on that later. It gets quite confusing here. Yeah, so this one here has In the Beginning by Heaven. So I was like, oh, that's a pretty good band there. It's a pretty good song there. So I've got that. So album number 1. So while they're recording album number 1, they were known as Fat Lip, but they changed their name to Heaven. And their first album, before I show you which version I have, consists of Alan Freyer on vocals, who, by the way, there's no evidence supporting this, but apparently Alan Freyer was one of the guys up in the runnings to replace Bon Scott when he had passed away. Nowhere does it show if he actually got an audition or whatnot. I don't think he did. But there's a rumor out there that he was one of the considerations to replace Bon Scott. He kind of looks like the singer Alan Freyer kind of looks like Bon Scott mixed with Cozy Powell. That's how I think he looks like. Voice wise, yeah, it's got the high range voice, a la definitely not like more like Bon Scott than Brian Johnson if I'm going to compare to AC/DC there. But anyway, Alan Freyer on vocals, just Kelly on guitar, Mick Cox on guitar, Laurie Marlowe on bass, and Joe Turter on drums. So that's the lineup for album number 1, which has apparently 3 names. I have the version called Bent. Okay, and I'll say so right here, Bent. There's also the same album cover, but the logo is a little bit different. It's just called Heaven, like a self-titled. That one I don't have. And there's also a completely different cover which came out a little bit before this, called Twilight of Mischief. Here's the cover right here, just to give you an idea. So this is Fantasy apparently was, again, this, no, in Canada, unless you're collecting music, and this fell on deaf ears. Nobody knows. I've never seen a video for these guys except on YouTube. So it's one of these bands that was forgotten in Canada. I'm not sure about the US, but Fantasy apparently was a hit for them there. In the Beginning is the song that's on that Metal Mania album there. But yeah, like I said, great. I got this at a record fair. Was it 2 years ago? Anyway, I was like, wow, this is actually very good here. So I had another one before that. We'll get to that soon. But yeah, this one here, released in 1982. Either the version is Twilight of Mischief, or Heaven, just self-titled, or Bent, which is what I have here. And here is the back cover. Yeah, I got this at a record fair in Ottawa. I was like, okay, well. And then after I bought this one, I realized they only have 3 albums. So I said, might as well finish the collection, right? You know me, completist. So Heaven, Bent is the 1982. And the one which got me into Heaven in the first place, and I believe is their most popular album. It's Where Angels Fear to Tread from 1983. So there's the back cover right here. The reason I bought this, so first of all, it's got some guest appearances here. So Glenn Hughes is Lita Ford. But the reason I bought this was because there's background vocals on the song Where Angels Fear to Tread, sung by, it says, just Evil Eyes. Well, if you know who Evil Eyes is it's a song by Dio on their second album, Last in Line. I'm not sure why he didn't want to use his real name. He just got put on as Evil Eyes, but it's Ronnie James Dio, and you can hear his voice on it here. I would say this is my favorite album of Heaven. There's a video for Where Angels Fear to Tread. Not thread. I don't even know what that saying means. Love Child, that's another good one here. Rock School was another hit for them. Again, not here. I'm just going by with what I read here. But yeah, this one here, I find it great. And just the cover is a little... I'm not sure who decided. I just don't find... This is not even a sticker. This is in the album cover itself. Whatever. I would have not put the square. That's what I'm trying to get at here. But anyway, Heaven, their second album, still the same lineup as album number 1. So Where Angels Fear to Tread. There you go, 1983. Then apparently, I guess, I'm not sure if Alan Fryer is hard to get along with or whatever, but the band disbanded in 1984 due to conflicts with Fryer. So I was like, okay, just reading up on that there. Cheers again. So they disband. Alan Fryer puts the band back together, this time with a completely different lineup. Like when I say completely, like completely different. And the list of past members is so effing long on Wikipedia. I'm not even going there. Apparently, even Rowan Robertson from Dio was in the lineup like near the end. But I don't even know when that was there. But yeah, the band in 1984 is comprised of Alan Fryer on vocals again, with Mitch Perry on guitar, Tommy Dimitrov on drums, Mark Cunningham on guitar, and Dennis Feldman on bass and background vocals. And they would go and release Knocking on Heaven's Door. Does that song sound familiar, or that title sound familiar? Yes, because there's a Bob Dylan cover again on, so Hendrix, Guns N' Roses, Heaven. I don't even know who else. I'm sure a lot of people have covered that song. Maybe it was original at the time doing it, but not anymore. Again, great album. Their three albums are very, very solid. And I would say to everybody, like anybody that wants to make a little quick album collection, yeah, this is easy to get. So Heaven, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Show on the Road is another good one. Knocking on Heaven's Door is a good cover there, I guess. There, No Turning Back is good. Last Laugh, and Nowhere to Run. I thought nowhere was a whole word, but this is Nowhere to Run. Weird, but anyway. Alas, this would be their last album. It doesn't really say if they disbanded or whatnot, but apparently Alan Fryer he's the man in charge. It doesn't say if they disbanded or broke up or what happened. It just showed that, he's keeping the band name alive by and that's what I mean, that list of past members is just ridiculous. I'm not even going to go through that. If you are curious, go to Wikipedia and you'll see them, like, it's ridiculous. So, anyway, they do nothing for like almost, if I'm looking at 13 years. Then in 1998, Alan Fryer moves to Texas, Austin, Texas, and is in 1998 they're recording some music which maybe could have been album number 4 from Heaven, but they ran out of money doing it. Like, again, there's not much on the internet, and I'm not saying I'm a Heaven expert, far from it. Okay, these episodes are hopefully to educate you, but mostly they're there to put a seed in your head and say, oh yeah, I remember that band, or I don't remember that band. I'm curious to go and find out more about them. They formed again in 2001 for a Judas Priest Australian tour. Again, but then after that, he moved back to the States. Not sure what he was doing there, but whatever. Then Alan Fryer died of cancer in 2015. But surprisingly enough, and that was what started, the interest in that, is my friend Steve from Rock and Metal Invasion went to Australia. Was it 6 months ago, maybe a year? And apparently he was told that Heaven was actually still playing live. A few of the old, I think there's 2 folks, I forget who the names were there, 2 folks from the original lineup, but a completely different lineup. They're just playing live in bars, I guess, there, or maybe larger bars. I don't know. I do not know their level of popularity in Australia, how it was at the time versus here in Canada. Like, I'm curious to know if my friends here, and they know who they are, know Heaven or own any Heaven. I would say probably not. But anyway, it's a decent discography. It's easy to complete. 3 albums. So you got Heaven. Knocking on Heaven's Door. Where Angels Fear to Tread, which I would say is their best one. and either Heaven or Bent or Twilight of Mischief. Twilight of Mischief, like I said, I've shown the cover earlier here. But yeah, that's it for the line. That's it for their discography. And of course, I got this, which has In the Beginning from their first album. So these episodes are just meant to put a spark back into this unknown band here these days anyway. I'm not saying in the 80s if they were popular or not. I know they weren't popular here. Australia could have been a different story. I believe they toured with Maiden and Kiss back in the 80s. But yeah, anyway, that's Heaven for you. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys know this band? Heard of them? Do you like them? Do not like them or whatnot? Did I miss something? That's the most important part, because this was so friggin' ridiculous and tough to do here. But anyway, that is my little episode on the Australian hard rock / metal band Heaven. Some good stuff. So anyway, on that note, have yourselves a great whatever, and we shall see you guys next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.